Hello and welcome to the Growth Advantage. Today I'm joined by Joshua, who is the Education Partnerships Director of Step Into Teaching. Joshua, welcome to the show. To kick things off, can you tell us a bit more about the work you do and the role you play within the business?
Sure. So here at Step Into Teaching, I've been here for just over 15 months now. So I joined back in January 2024, and I joined as the Education Partnerships Director. So Step Into Teaching essentially is a graduate pre-teacher training program where we find graduates who are interested in a career in education but aren't quite ready yet to make that step into teaching itself. So we provide a whole range of support around them to give them the experience, guidership and mentorship to make sure that that's successful for them. And my role specifically is to work with school leaders, multi-academy trusts, CEOs, chief operating officers, for example, to just showcase the programme and the impact that it can have.
Perfect. And from your perspective, are you noticing any trends or shifts in your landscape at the moment?
Education is an interesting crossroad, I think. I think there's lots of policy initiatives that are being mooted at the moment. There's the obvious funding challenges that schools face at the moment too. And I think there's how's best to describe it, people are quite static, a bit frozen to be able to make some decisions because there's lots of unknowns still to play out for the remainder of this academic year and into next. And that makes people a bit cautious in terms of making decisions and committing to things until that information is known. So yeah, I'd say some hesitancy, although some people are stepping forward, being brave and willing to make those decisions, and that's great for those people involved.
Perfect. And are you noticing any challenges or even perhaps advantages in your industry at the moment?
Yeah, so we're focused on, specifically around the teacher recruitment and retention challenge. That's an ongoing issue, and there are a number of factors at play actually that affect that. And I don't think there'll be one, policy decision that influences how that challenge is solved. I think it'll be a range of things that are required to try and solve that as an issue, to be honest. And one of those is, more broadly about teacher pay and conditions, the teacher workload. So there's lots of things there that are at play really in terms of that as a challenge at the moment. But as I'm chair of governors at a large primary school, so there's issues there around falling pupil numbers. So that brings its own challenges. But also the growing SEND need that is seen both at primary and secondary and FE settings really. It's almost a perfect storm of issues and challenges at this point in time. But to answer your other point, that does lead, room for innovation. That leads room for, there are some advantages in the sector in those that are willing to think a little bit more long term rather than just short term quick fire fixes. There's some scope there for people to be creative and bring some solutions to the space that perhaps wouldn't have been available a few years ago.
Yeah. No, that sounds really good. And when it comes to getting your message out there, Joshua, how do you approach marketing and your business development?
Great. So they're closely aligned but do operate separately. And so from a marketing perspective, we have a great team here who's led by a gentleman called Max, who's absolutely brilliant. We'd be lost without him. But it's really important for us that actually it's not just us that shouts about the good work. So we have a number of brand ambassadors, so our graduates who are on the ground, they do a lot of work around social media to advocate for the programme, share their experiences, etc. But we do a lot of work behind the scenes from our website, marketing, SEO, things like that to make sure that's in place. But we also have invested in, we're about to start our own podcast series as well in the next few weeks / months. Brilliant. As well. Just to showcase, what it is to work at Step Into Teaching, what it means, what the outcomes are. And then similarly, from a business development perspective, a lot of it within education is about relationships. It's about word of mouth. It's about showcasing the impact that you're able to achieve. And so we again work with lots of our school partners and multi-academy trusts and ask them really if they're willing to showcase the impact that the programme has had, because other schools are much more likely to use us if they know others have had a positive impact. So a lot of our, don't get me wrong, we still do the typical business development functions, but we do it from a place of building long-term relationships.
Yeah, no, that sounds like a really good tactic you've got there, and it's really good having word of mouth as well, spreading the word. So no, that's really good. Excellent.
Yeah.
And how would you describe your competitive landscape?
We sit in a really interesting space actually, because there aren't many other programs out there like ours at the moment that do what we do. And so we are in a good place because of that. The challenge that comes with that, though, it's not like when you buy a phone and you're comparing two different brands and you know what a phone does. So we then get put into boxes that perhaps we don't typically tend to sit in. So a school might think, we fall into a more like an agency recruiter type space, which is definitely not us. We sit in the long-term solutions, providing people who are after that future career rather than someone who's just looking for that, short-term fix. So there are challenges and advantages to the position that we currently sit in this space.
Yeah. So I suppose it's just getting that message out there, letting people know what it is that you do and what it's a different offering really, isn't it? So
yeah. And chances to speak to people like yourselves and just showcase that the impact of our program, having been been going for just over 6 years now, and we've seen just over 4,000 graduates go through the program.
That's amazing.
Really, really good success rate, really strong success rate of those that make it on our program, and the ability to just share that has been really important for us.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. And what would a typical day look like to you, Joshua?
That's a really good question.
Yeah, everyone loves that one.
Yesterday looked very different to today. So typically, probably 50% of my day is spent working with school leaders, speaking to school leaders about the programme. Because again, one of the other things we really try and focus on here is that our programme's co-created with schools, with people that we work with. It's really important that they've got a say and choice and opportunity to direct the way in which the programme works for them. We know there's like a core 80% of the programme that all schools or colleges will use, but actually it's really important that that's built around the direct school needs and challenges. So a lot of my time is spent developing the programme, hearing that direct customer feedback, making sure that we're providing a solution that really is suitable for them. And then the other half of my day is probably spent working with some of the great team members we've got here, working with Max in our marketing team, and also just looking ahead to the broader developments we can make to the programme that sit outside of just the day-to-day stuff working in schools. So I enjoy my day. 2 days are never the same. But best bit is just being able to speak to those people on the ground.
Excellent. No, sounds good. And what markers of success do you personally keep an eye on?
Yeah, so for us, we're only as good really as the people that we're able to get into teaching. So a real marker of success for us is, of the roughly 1,000 graduates we placed last year and are on track to do again this year, how many of those do we actually get to convert into, initial teacher training at the end of the programme? And there's roughly about 20% or around 200 people who don't make it at the end of our programme. But in chatting to a multi-academy trust CEO recently, said, it's better that they don't make it on your programme than we've invested in them to come and work in our school. They've taken on another £9,500 worth of student loan debt, and it's not worked out for them. Yeah. So even the ones that don't make it, they still saw the programme as a success because it's managed to filter out those that perhaps wouldn't have made it anyway. Yeah. So that's one of the real key metrics we look at. But also, I guess we look at the in terms of the number of graduates we've got placed and the schools we're working with. But it's also about the depth of the relationships, like how well are we, embedded in those schools, in those areas? How well do we know those local communities?
Yeah, no. And looking ahead over the next 12 months, what's really driving you at the moment? What goals are you working towards?
So we are really trying to connect our ability to signpost people into those initial teacher training routes. So in the past, it's been a bit left to chance in terms of, we'd showcase to the graduates, these are the options you've got available. But actually, it was a bit loose in terms of where they could go. Whereas now we're really doubling down on our partnerships with providers across the country so that there's a real clear pathway for their own leadership and development, actually through day one working with Step Into Teaching all the way through to potentially being a CEO of a multi-academy trust in
Wow.
many years' time. So we're trying to really build that clear roadmap for somebody and showcase that this isn't just a short-term position. This is an opportunity to gain experience that's going to set you up for life, really. So we want to stay in our lane. We want to stay good at what we do, which is finding the people and giving them the opportunity to experience it, and then join up and connect with people who can, take them on for the remainder of their journey.
Fantastic. And if you could wave a magic wand, what would be the one thing in your business that you would change to make life easier for you?
That's a really good question. I guess we still get faced with a little bit of hesitancy about the program. We
Right.
still get asked about, what's the catch, or a bit of disbelief that the program actually works. But for us, it would be that finding people who are willing to take that risk, as so many other people have, to just say, yeah, we'll take a guess on this. But I understand the caution, because there've been opportunities in the past which haven't worked out well for them. So hence, again, doing things like this hopefully showcases that, there's good people behind Step Into Teaching, there's a good evidence base, and so people can just engage with us positively.
Perfect. And what's your biggest frustration that you're facing right now?
Oh, good question. I guess it's around the labour market as a whole. There's
Right.
lots of political things that are happening at the moment that are causing a bit of stagnation in the market, a bit of freeze, a bit of uncertainty. And so I get things take time, but just some clarity on some of the big things that are affecting schools and colleges in particular
Yeah.
would certainly ease a bit of that pressure for schools directly, but also then us in terms of being able to solve one of the key policy issues. It would just release those shackles a little bit. So that's probably where some of the frustrations lie.
Yeah, definitely. I can understand that. And finally, if you could share one piece of advice for aspiring educators or professionals stepping into a new phase of their career, what would that be?
Just do it.
Yeah.
Having recently-ish changed role, I think there's a really important thing that you always feel like you're growing yourself. And so, yeah, particularly in this phase, you can't go wrong with stepping outside that comfort zone, going to explore something new, as long as you've done your due diligence and you're happy with where you're ending up. But yeah, just absolutely go and do it. Now's the right time to do it. Take that leap.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Always got to take that leap of faith.
Exactly.
Joshua, it's been a pleasure having you on the show today. So thank you so much for coming on and sharing your insights with us. And we wish you all the very best success for the future.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.